Hello everybody. Is it really worth a hobby golfer learning to shape the ball? I'll be back in a minute to tell you my opinion. So, is it really worth a hobby golfer learning to shape a ball? What are we talking about when we're shaping a ball? Well, basically, actually moving a ball intentionally from left to right, right to left, hit it low, hit it high, controlling the ball's flight. In my opinion, it is. I always think that if you can shape a ball, you can make your target double as big. And the reason I say that is if you're aiming at the middle of a target and your ball goes to the right, you've only got half of the target's width for it to go right, and then you're missing the green or fairway. The same on the left-hand side. If I know what direction the golf ball's going to bend in, then I can use the whole fairway or use the whole green. Aim at the left side of the green and fade it into the green, aim at the left side of the fairway, fade it into the fairway, or on the other way, aim at the right side of the fairway, hook it in, aim at the right side of the green and draw it in. How do we do this? Well, the first thing is to understand simply what is actually causing the ball to actually move in the air like that. And that's basically the spin. When you hit a golf ball, it gets what they call backspin, which I suppose, let me think, for the camera is for you like this. So you're hitting the golf ball and it's spinning around its axis backwards. If there's a change in the direction that the club head is moving and the club face is pointing, then what happens is this spin axis tilts. And the reason that that's important is that spin generates lift. So if the spin axis is tilted, the lift is pulling the ball out of the direction that it would usually move in. And this usually you'll see at the end of the ball's flight more than at the beginning. At the beginning it's got so much forward momentum it will go pretty straight, but at the end of the flight then the spin tends to take over and move it away from its start direction. Now a lot of you are out there are fighting the spin on the ball. That means that you've got a natural hook or a natural slice, and I would certainly recommend when you're on a golf course stop doing that. I mean, try and calculate or look on the driving range how much kind of side movement is the ball getting, how far does it move off to the right or to the left, and then simply aim far enough left or far enough right to give it time to get back to the middle of the fairway. When you're actually out on the driving range and trying to do these things intentionally, although it might be very difficult for some of you, I would not really say you should be trying to change your swing to do this. On the contrary, just simply change your setup. So if you look at the basics here, I think you can see them on the camera. I've got a couple of sticks on the ground. If I say that the left stick is where I'm going to swing the club, the direction that I want the club head to be moving, then quite simply I want to set up with my stance aiming along that left stick. If the right stick is pointing at the target, then I will twist the club in my hand so that is pointing at the target. So I'm actually changing the relationship between my hands and the club face before I start the swing. And then I'm making a totally normal swing down the target line. Now a lot of you will say, well, I don't make a totally normal swing. No, maybe not, but you make a repetitive swing. So if, as a for instance, you're coming over the top from out to in, changing your stance is going to have exactly the same change into your swing path as before. You'll just simply be coming even further from out to in. It's why some people who do have a slice will actually be able to change it a little bit by aiming to the right. Similarly, if you were to close your club face when you're slicing the ball, that will stop it slicing as much. What we're trying to do with this cut or fade ball is exactly the opposite. Make the ball move from left to right. So when I stand to the golf ball, I will first address the golf ball along the target line, and then I'll twist the club slightly to the right so that it's not pointing at the target, and then I'll make the swing. Now where the golf ball will end up is very dependent on the difference between the direction that the club head is moving and the point where the club face is pointing. When I started learning professional golf, that means I was an assistant professional at Moralton in Leeds, and they were telling us in those days that the ball would start where you were swinging, and it would land where the club face is pointing. So according to modern physics, that would mean the golf ball would go straight into the tree if you were trying to hit it around the tree. The reason for this is that that doesn't actually happen. What actually happens is the golf ball will start with an iron more or less 75% in the direction that the club face is pointing. So you're actually going to start it somewhere between where you're swinging the club and where the club face is pointing, but more to the place where the club face is pointing. It's then going to curve away. So if I point my club face where I want it to land and swing to the left of that position, it's going to land right at the target. So what I want to do is try and gauge, dependent on my swing, how much curvature I will give the ball, just a little bit by trial and error. But I definitely don't want the club face to be pointing where the ball is going to land. It's going to be pointing left of where the ball is going to land if I'm fading the ball, and right of where the ball is going to land if I'm drawing or hooking the ball. So here again, I'm just aiming up to the left. I'm pointing my face to the right of where I'm aiming, but not quite as much. Same swing. Slightly less movement of the ball from left to right. I can remember as an assistant professional, we had a big tournament at the club called the Carcare, which is a European Tour event, and Eamon Darcy was there. And he got us to change his grips. Now they were leather grips, and it took me around about 2 hours to put one on for him to actually say, that's okay. And at the time, he kind of amused us with anecdotes from the tour. And one of the things he was telling us when he first started playing tour golf is that all the guys were able to do the shaping and his ball just went straight. Now, if you know, Eamon Darcy had a bit of a goofy swing, and he used to basically just rifle the thing straight, irrespective of what his swing was doing. So he went back to his dad, who was also a pro, and says, you know, Dad, I've got a problem. You know, these guys are able to kind of shape the ball, and I can't do it. How do I do it? And his dad says, well, you just stand normally to the golf ball and imagine a different ball flight. And that's how Eamon Darcy used to shape a golf ball. And to a certain extent, that's something you could also work on. Not necessarily being quite as Eamon as that, but I would certainly say if you stand to the golf ball to fade it, but you can't visualize a fade, then you might well hit it straight, and then you're just hitting it straight left. So the trick here is also, as ever, to get a good picture of what you're wanting to do when you do it. So I'll visualize the ball starting kind of left towards the kind of yellow flag out there, if you can see that, and kind of landing around about the white flag. I know that my setup is correct for that, and my club face is pointing correctly, and then I can imagine it and hit it. Not bad. Obviously this takes practice. Are you really going to be able to do this? I think you are. I think you're definitely going to get some control, and I think by working on things like this, you're going to get a better feeling for your own swing. Don't fight against it. Don't try and stop yourself coming from the outside or inside if that's your swing path normally, but try and experiment with different setups, different directions in your feet and shoulders and hips, and different feelings of how far open or closed you've got the club face. You'll be amazed how well your body is able to actually develop a feeling and a control over the ball's flight. And then when you're on the golf course next time, simply aim to the side of the green where you want the ball to start, and that way the green will get a lot bigger. Aim to the side of the fairway you want the ball to start, and the fairway will get a lot bigger if you know in which direction the ball's going to curve. I hope this has helped you, give you a little bit to think about, and most certainly something to experiment next time you're on the driving range. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please subscribe. I'll leave my philosophy from golf, as ever, up in the top left-hand corner. Great talking to you all. I'll see you again soon.